Hi there, my name's Faye Bull. I am a regional director with ACOM. I cover a national geography in the UK and Ireland. My qualifications, I did a geography degree, so I've got a Bachelor of Science in Geography. I did a Master's in Environmental Water Management at Cranfield University, and I'm chartered with CIWEM, so I'm a member of CIWEM and a chartered scientist, chartered water and environmental manager. I've been working in the industry now for 15 years, give or take the odd year or so. And I also had a period of maternity leave a couple of years ago, so a little short career break of a year. I've worked in this industry now without any sort of significant changes in my career. I guess the most career changes that I've had have been moving around within the industry. So I've worked in flood and water management for the whole 15-year period, but I've worked across water utilities, consultancy and local authority. So quite a lot of variation in terms of the different aspects of our sector, but no significant career changes. The reason for moving around a little bit was just to get a bit of different perspective, and that's something that I'll come on to in one of the later questions. I think it's been really valuable to me to get that different perspective, both client side, consultant side, technical, community, and just to have a bit of different experience within the sector. In terms of what I wish I'd have known at the beginning of my career, I think I would have liked to have known the different perspectives and the benefits that can bring to a career. I've just talked previously about moving around a little bit in my career, working in the private sector, the public sector, client side, consultant side. But it was probably not as planned as it sounds. And actually, looking back on the last 15 years, the biggest benefit to me has been seeing those different perspectives. And I think if it had been a little bit more planned, then I might have done things a little bit differently. But I wish I'd have known right at the beginning, when I came out of university, there was this perception that you go into a job as a graduate and you stay in that job for a long time. I've not, my career hasn't panned out that way. It's not been a golden ladder up the chain for 15 years in one organisation. I've moved around. It's been a bit more of a jungle gym, and that's okay. Everybody takes a different path. I was worried at some points about sort of the movement on my CV and that people might see that I'm not loyal to an organisation. But actually, the diversity and the different perspectives that has given me has been really good. So to anybody sort of starting out in their career, don't be afraid to do different things, to move around within an organisation, to move between organisations, or to take opportunities like secondments and things like that along the way. So I think that networks have really helped me get to where I am in my career today. I've had some sideways movements in my career. My jobs have kind of taken me sideways, upways, downwards, and in lots of different directions. And those career opportunities and working in different parts of our sector have exposed me to lots of different people, and lots of whom I still keep in touch with and still bump into at industry events and meetings and all those types of things. But something that I really took control of and is a great opportunity for people in their early careers is to get involved in some what I call extracurricular activities to build your own personal network. And some of the things that I have done throughout my career was getting involved, starting to go to local branch meetings with CIWEM in the East Midlands. I then got involved in the CIWEM East Midlands Branch Committee, which then took me to be involved in the Rivers and Coastal Group Committee, and I was honoured to chair that committee in its 70th year. And I've also got involved in the Women in FSERM initiative, which is a fantastic initiative run again by volunteers who are just trying to help women in our industry to get access to things like mentoring, to go to events about how to excel in our industry and to learn different things about the industry. So there's lots of different ways that you could get involved in similar initiatives either in your local area or with national initiatives with SciWem, Women in FSERM and organisations like that. But if you have a great network and a really strong network, you never know when you might need to call upon them, which I'll come on to in a minute. But it's always great to be at an industry event and to know lots of people and to talk to lots of people. And quite often I get contacted by people in my network for advice or just a by the way kind of contact. So I would definitely recommend spending some time thinking about how you are going to develop your network, because it's really helped me in my career. The biggest career flop so far was when I moved from a really great job in consultancy to what I thought was going to be another great job in the public sector. And when I read the job description, it looked like my dream job. So I thought it was worth taking the risk and taking the move. But less than a week into that job, it transpired that I should never have been employed by that organisation due to a conflict with one of the extracurricular activities that I had previously. So I was unaware of the issue, obviously, at the time, and there were no checks or balances in place within the organisation that employed me to sort of pick up on any potential conflicts. So I found myself having left a great job to go to another great job, in a position where I had no job at very short notice. And when you've worked all of your working life, there's been no career breaks, and you're not expecting to have to take an unpaid career break. I was in a very kind of difficult position, both personally, financially, and sort of professionally as well. And what I really remember about that time was my friends and family and my network just rallying around me and just being that safety net, and really helping me out and helping me to see the wood from the trees in that scenario. And when I was talking earlier about networks, this is where the network for me really paid off. People started to find out about my situation. I started reaching out to people who I admired, worked for different organisations, and I found myself within a couple of weeks with some really great job offers and other opportunities that I could have pursued as well. And the career path that I took has led me to where I obviously am now. Now, at the time, this was a pretty devastating situation for me, but I can look back now, 4 or 5 years on, and see it as part of my journey and part of my path. And as I've said before, this wasn't my career path isn't the golden ladder that some people do take. My career is the jungle gym, and I fell off that jungle gym. And arguably, I've got friends, family, and colleagues within my network that picked me up and put me back on that jungle gym, probably in a higher position, a more senior position than I had in the what I thought was going to be my dream job. So there's a song that comes up every now and then, Beyonce's Best Thing I Never Had, and that is the soundtrack of that time of my life. Really difficult time, but I think one of the things that defines you as an individual, and something to remember as an early careers individual, is how you handle these situations. So behind the scenes, I might have been crumbling and really struggling with the situation, but the front and the conversations that I had with the organisation where it didn't work out, with my old organisation, with networks, with lots of different people, how I handled that situation and the resilience that I showed in that situation probably meant that I came out stronger the other side. And I feel like anything can be thrown at me now in my career, and I'll probably be able to deal with it a lot better because I've learned a lot from that situation, and I came out with my head held high, and I'm really happy with where I am now, so I can look back and see it as part of my journey, as I said before. And moving on to the next question, which is what has been the most valuable lesson you have learnt? Well, it relates to that situation really, and it's never ever burn any bridges. I've moved around a lot in my career. I've moved from different organisations. I've moved from jobs that were kind of okay to jobs that were great. I've left jobs that were great to a job that didn't work out. But every time I've moved, or even within jobs, moving from project to project or clients between clients, I've never ever burnt any bridges. I've always ensured that I've maintained positive working relationships, you know, make sure I'm hopefully leaving a good impression on the people that I work with, so that when I've needed to call on those situations, whether that's for a reference, whether it's for potential job opportunities, or whether it's bumping into somebody at a conference, you know, you have really positive interactions with people. My approach to challenges has changed throughout my career, quite substantially, I would say. I think at the moment I'm at a time in my life where I can take a step back. Early in my career, when I was a graduate and a consultant level, I got so involved, and it was very all-consuming. I threw myself into my work. I learned a lot very quickly, quick, steep learning curves. I progressed quite quickly through the ranks and through my career. But I think a lot of that was at my own personal kind of, I had a lot of personal challenges in terms of, you know, handling and dealing with stress, dealing with anxiety, sleepless nights sometimes, whilst I was kind of growing into those roles and moving quickly through the grades and through my career, and constantly moving myself out of my comfort zone. So I still move myself out of my comfort zone. I've never ever stopped doing that. But I think I'm at a point now where I can take a step back. I also have a much busier family life with a little toddler to run around after, and another one on the way. So it's a time when I have a lot of other things to focus on, and I think that's really healthy. I think it's really good to have be involved in your career, to be invested in your career development, to take the time to learn your trade, to learn the technical aspects of your trade, but also have something away from work where you can switch off that work bit of your brain, get outside, you know, enjoy doing things that you want to do with friends, with family, and just approach things in a slightly different way. And I think that's where I am now. I've got enough experience now to know that there will be storms, there will be times when work is really difficult, and when you know, I might still be kept awake at night the odd time, but I know that storm will pass. When you're in the eye of the storm, it feels really hard. It will always pass. There will always be a rainbow at the end of it. And I think it's about learning how to just dance in the rain, and make sure that you kind of, again, make the best of a situation, deal with the challenge, keep your head held high, and make sure that you maintain that resilience and that professionalism through any challenge that is thrown at you. And you will look back and realise that you've done a good job. The storm's passed, and we can all move on. My 3 top tips for early career professionals are first one is to identify mentors. Now, I think mentorship is really, really important, but I say this having never really had a formal mentor myself. But I have many, many mentors. They just don't know it. There's a lot of people who I will pick up the phone to, ask some advice of. I've been blessed with some absolutely fabulous line managers who I still call upon today, just for a chat or some advice when you're feeling a bit down or unsure, that I can call upon. So my network of mentors is actually quite informal. If you wanted to go down a more formal route, then a lot of organisations have mentor schemes, and there are other ways of kind of gaining those mentors, whether that's for chartership, for example. If you don't have a mentor within your organisation, if you're in a small organisation, then you could contact your local CIWEN branch, or someone like Rivers and Coastal Group or Urban Drainage Group, and get a mentor to help you with a specific task of becoming chartered. But you could also gain career mentors through those routes, and gaining those networks that I talked about earlier, and finding those people who could be your mentors and can just help guide you along this crazy path of careers that face us. The second piece of advice would be to get some diversity in your work. Now, that I say that not to say keep moving around in different organisations. There are some fabulous organisations where you can work in different roles within the same organisations without having to leave a company. And there are also opportunities for things like secondments into different types of organisations, or to, like I said earlier, just to get an experience in another part of an organisation, just to give you a broader understanding of the sector that we work in, or an alternative perspective within the same sector, or within even a different sector within rail or highways. A lot of the infrastructure sectors face very similar challenges to what we do, and actually you can learn a lot from getting some diversity and moving around a little bit within your kind of area of interest and area of expertise. And then my third piece of advice, if you haven't already picked up on this, is to develop and maintain a network outside of the organisation that you work within. And there are lots and lots of different ways that you can do that. CIWEM has some great opportunities for you to get out there, to meet other people. We're now coming out of COVID times, hopefully, so we will be able to do more face-to-face meetings and getting out there and just, having a cup of tea with somebody and talking to somebody before an evening seminar. That's how I got into CIWEM. That's how I grew my network. The main suggestions for continuing professional development and further studies that I have are to go to your local events, go to your local branch events with CIWEM. That's a great place to start. That might even see you getting involved and getting roped in with local branch committees. And again, that's a really good thing to do with for the sake of a couple of evenings a week and a little bit of hours here and there in your personal time. And I'd also recommend doing courses and continuing professional development in non-technical skills. So you will have your technical area and you will learn on the job, and you might be able to go to some technical courses which are appropriate for your area. But I think it's really important, regardless of which part of our sector you work in, to have awareness on things like project management and commercial skills, because you will always be able to rely on them. A project management qualification like Prince 2 or Association of Project Managers, or some of the courses that CIWEM have, they will set you up in terms of how you think about managing your workload in your day-to-day life. So I think there's some really good non-technical courses that you can get on as well, which will help you in your career regardless of where you go, regardless of whether you're on the golden ladder or whether you're on that jungle gym that I'm on.